Hello everyone, hope you all are staying safe and healthy. In our previous video, we learned how to define a function, how to call a function. Now let's move further and learn some other features of the Python functions. Okay, here we go. Now as you know that every program has a structure. Those who have gone through other languages like C and C++, they know that every C and C++ program has a structure and the same structure should be followed while programming. Here also the structure of a Python program looks like the given here in this slide. So you can see all the function definitions occur at the very beginning of the program. Here you can see all the function definitions, then the statements which are known as the top level statements written here. This segment from here to here, this segment of top level statements is named as main. Here you can see this is the name main here. Whenever we execute a Python program, the execution always start from this main. As we know also in C++ language, those who have learned C++, there was a function main, and whenever we execute a C++ program, the function always starts executing from the main function. Now here the note given here is that Python stores the name of top level statements in a variable called name underscore name underscore this one here, this one, and the statement written at the bottom print name. Here you can see this one, print name is going to print the name of this top level statements, which is main. As you can see here, this is the name main. So now I think it is clear to all of you that all the functions definition will occur at the very beginning of our program, then followed by the main segment. Now let us move further. Flow of execution in a function call. How a flow is whenever a function is called, how the flow of execution is transferred, we will see here. At the first point you can see the flow of execution refers to the order in which statements are executed during a program run. It simply means whenever we run a program, in which order the statements are going to be executed is the flow of execution. A function's body is also a block, and in Python a block is executed in an execution frame. So function's body, whatever we write inside a function, is treated as its body, and that body is executed in a execution frame. Whenever a function call is encountered, an execution frame for the called function is created and the program control is transferred to it. From here, you can see here a function func1 has been defined here. This is the main segment, and in the main segment, this function 1 is being called from here. Now you can see as soon as this function is called, the control transferred from here to here, and after that function executes, means this body of the function executes, and as soon as the statements in the function's body are executed or a return statement encounters, the control goes back to the statement following the calling statement. Okay, so from here it is clear that whenever a function call is made, the control is transferred from the calling statement to the called function, and as soon as the function's body executes execution finishes, then the control again returns back to the statement following the calling statement. I think this thing is clear to all of you. Now here are some guidelines followed by Python while executing a program. So execution always begins from the first statement of a program. So as we discussed earlier, all the function definitions occur at the very beginning of the. So if any function definition is above all the main segment, then Python starts executing the function's header line only. है ना? So header line is executed, the body is not executed. Body is executed only when the function call statement appears in your program. Second one is command lines are ignored and that is not executed. You all very well know the commands are the statements which are never going to be executed by Python. Third one is if Python encounters a function definition, then Python just executes the function header line to determine that it is a proper function header and skips all lines in the function body. I explained you earlier in this slide about that. Then the next one is the function body is not executed until the function is called. This one also I explained earlier. Here the next one, in Python a function can define another function inside it. So this is a new feature. This is what is new in Python. As we can see that in C, C++, a function definition cannot be inside any other function. But here we can define a function inside another function. But since the inner function definition is inside a function's body, the inner function definition is not executed until the other function is called. The next one, when a code line contains a function call, Python first jumps to the header line and then to the first line of the function body and starts executing. This is almost understood by all of you, as you know. Whenever a function call encounters, the Python jumps to the header line of the function and the rest of the body is executed later. A function call ends with the return statement or the last statement of the function body, whichever occurs earlier. So this is if we are having a return statement in between the function's body and suddenly it encounters in any way, then the function's the execution of the function body stops there and the control goes back to the calling function. If the called function returns a value, then the whole function call is replaced with the return value to complete the statement. So this is another feature that if a function is returning any value, then this function can be used as a in an expression as a statement. The last one is if the called function does not return any value, then the control jumps back to the line following the function call statement. So if the function is returning any value, you can assign that return value to a variable, or if the function is not returning any value, then the control simply jumps to the line following the function call statement. So we are moving further now. Now arguments or parameters, very important factors while declaring or calling functions, the arguments or parameters. So these are the values actually which are passed while calling a function. So basically saying arguments and parameters both can be interchangeably used for one another, but sometimes arguments are referred the values which appears in the function call statement, and parameters are the variables which appears in the function's header line. Okay, so arguments in function call statement and parameters in functions definition line. As you can see here that a function define calc, let us change the color, you can see brightly. Okay, so define calc square this function, you can see. Hmm? This function calc square is receiving a value n and returning the square of n. Here in this statement calc square a. So a, here a is the argument which is being passed to calc square. So this is a call statement. Here the a which appears in the calling statement is known as the actual argument, whereas n which is receiving the value of a is known as the formal argument. So actual argument, formal argument, or you can say actual parameter, formal parameters. So now I think this thing is clear to all of you ki what are actual and formal parameters or arguments. Actual parameters or arguments appear in the function call statement, and the formal arguments appear in the function's header line. Now here the note written is if the value of immutable types, for example numbers, strings, etc., are passed to the called function, then the called function cannot alter the values of past arguments. So here from a function call, if the values being passed are of types numbers, strings, means any immutable data type, then here the function cannot make any changes. But if the values or actual arguments which are being passed are of mutable types, the list and dictionaries, then this function can make changes in that also. So from this slide it is clear what are formal parameters, what are actual parameters. Okay, so formal parameters should be the names of variables only, but actual parameters may be a variable, a literal, or any expression also. Passing parameters. Now, there are three methods of passing parameters in Python. The first one is positional arguments or required arguments. Means if we are using this positional arguments method, then we have to supply each and every parameter a value while calling a statement. We cannot skip, or we can say ki we have to give a value to the variable which is required by the function, and not only the value but the order of the values also must be taken into account. Means in the same order we have to give the values to the function. So this is also known as positional argument matching. So the function call statement must match the number and order of arguments which are being passed to the calling function. Second one is default arguments. Default argument simply means if a function definition is having any argument which is assigned a value, then that argument is known as the default argument. Here you can see this breadth equals to 10. This argument defined in the function area is a default argument. So what does it mean, default argument? It simply means that if we are not giving a value to this second parameter while calling this function area, then automatically the value of breadth will be taken as 10. Otherwise the value which we are giving will be taken. As you can see here in the first function call, area 5, this one. So area 5, here we are supplying only one argument. So one argument means the positional argument. This value goes to length, not for breadth, because length is here a positional argument. The first value will go to the length, so length will be 5, and breadth, since breadth is not being given any value, it will automatically take 10. Here in the second call statement, this one, you can see both values are being supplied. So 5 and 20, 5 goes to length and 20 goes to breadth. Now in this function, breadth will be 20, not 10. This function call, after this function call. Some facts about default arguments. An argument having default value in the function header is known as a default argument. This we have discussed earlier. Non-default argument cannot follow default arguments. It simply means that all the default arguments should be the last arguments in a function definition. An argument having a default value in a function header becomes optional in function call. That is, function call may or may not have a value for it. This we understood in the previous slide, that while calling a function, it is optional to give the value for a default argument. The default values for arguments are considered only if no value is provided for that argument. This is obvious. So let us move to the third way of passing arguments. This is keyword or named arguments. As you can see in this function header, define SIPRT. This header line has three variables P, R, and T, functions header. Now look at these two calls. SI is being called by giving the values for P, T, and R. But the order you can see here, P, T, and R. So now we are giving the values by the name of the arguments. So P will be assigned 1000, T 2, and R 5. No matter where they are appearing in the function header, I mean the order of the arguments is of no mean here, because we are simply writing the values against the argument names. So here in both calling statements you can see the values are not appearing in the order in which they are appearing in the function header, because we are giving the values with the name of the arguments. So this is also valid in Python. Combining all three types of argument, we can combine all three types of arguments also. As you can see here in this, define SI PCCTR. Here you can see P and CC. These are two positional arguments. T and R are default arguments. T and R. Now here these calls written, 6 calls are written here, from which 3 are legal and 3 are illegal calls. Here you can see SI is being called by giving P as 2500, CC equals to 4. So P and CC, because they are positional arguments, they must be provided the values. T and R here will be taken automatically as 2 and 3.5 as they are default arguments. Here R equals to 5 is obvious, R equals to 5 is given, P and CC are given. So all the arguments are given except T, and T will be taken as it is a default argument. In the third statement, 2503, the values are not given with the name. So here it will be according to the position of the arguments, means 2500 is going to be stored in P and 3 in CC. R is given 1.5 and T is left because T is the default argument. So these three are valid arguments. Now I leave it up to you you just guess why these three statements are illegal, why these calls are actually illegal in Python with respect to the function header declared in the beginning of this slide, means the above line. So shall I move further? Okay, fine. So this is up to you. Find how why these are illegal function calls. Now returning values from functions. We all know that functions may or may not return value. है ना? So depending on whether the function is returning any value or not, they may be categorized into two functions, those who are returning some values, which we call non-void functions, and second one is the functions which are returning some values, which sorry, for second one, the functions which are not going to return any value. If the functions are not going to return any value, they are known as void functions, and which are returning some values, they are non-void functions. So simply we use a statement return followed by a value which the function is going to return, as you can see in this syntax here. The returned value can be either a literal, a variable, or an expression, as you can see here in all these three statements I have written. A literal value, a variable, or an expression. Now some notes about this returning values. The returned value of a function should be used in the caller function program inside an expression or a statement. So if the function is returning some value, that value should be used in an expression in the calling program. Functions returning a value are also known as fruitful functions. So the functions are fruitful if they are returning some values, and the return statement ends a function execution even if it is in the middle of a function. This we have already discussed, that if a return statement appears in the middle of the function, and it simply truncates the execution of that function as soon as it encounters. Second, the function not returning any value, which we know as void functions. So void function doesn't mean that a return statement cannot appear in those functions. Rather, the function may have a return statement like this. Only return you can write if a function is not returning any value. These functions are known as void functions. So, as the functions were fruitful functions which are returning values, now these ones are non-fruitful as they are not returning any values. But keep one thing in mind, that a function being a void function also returns a legal empty value, which is none. As you can see here, this none is a keyword and it is a valid empty value in Python. So if the function is a void function also, it is going to return a none to its caller. Now one more thing is that we can also return multiple values, unlike many other languages which do not provide us with this option of returning multiple values. But here in Python we can return multiple values also. But if we are going to return multiple values, then the returned values should be separated by commas, and on the receiving end, means the function call statement should be assigned a variable which can store multiple values like tuples. So it should be a tuple because tuples are the values separated with commas. So either the variable which is receiving the multiple values is a tuple, or we can also assign those different values to the same number of variables which we are getting. As you can see here, This function twice is returning three values, means the result of these three expression a into 2, b into 2, c into 2. So when this twice is being called here, 357 goes to ABC and the values returns are 6, 10 and 14. So 6, 10 and 14 cannot be stored in a single variable until it is a tuple. So t is a tuple variable here, and when we print t, it will be printed as 6, 10, 14. Now this is another method. Twice is being called and the returned values are being stored in three different variables x, y and z. So x will hold the value 6, y 10 and z 14. The value gets printed here. Composition, the last topic today. Composition, whenever an expression is used as a part of larger expression or a statement is used as a part of larger statement, it is known as a composition. So here on the bottom you can see here print square of 3 is power 3 comma 2. So here you can see power 3 comma 2. This is a function, mathematical function which calculates the power. This function is being called inside the function print. So print itself is a function and inside this function power has been called. So function inside a function is being called. So here power 3 comma 2 is a part of larger expression print. So this is what we call a composition. Well guys, in the last video I gave you some assignments, and those two assignments were, one was the program which you were asked to write a function to calculate the factorial, and the second one was an output. Some of you answered the asked questions, and now for all of you, let me have a hand-on practice with these examples. Python. Now here you can see I have written that function for you, the first one program to calculate the factorial. Here this is the function define factorial, this one factorial. So the process is quite simple, as we all know that a factorial is nothing but the multiplication of all integers from 1 to the number itself. So because 1 is the number which when multiplied with anything doesn't affect the result, so I have formed a loop from 2 to n. So I will be from 2 to n, and f I have taken initially as 1. So the values of I gets multiplied, keep on multiplying till this loop executes, and finally the value of f will give you the factorial. This is a loop which I have formed to get the input from the user. If the user enters a number which is less than 0, it will simply say cannot calculate factorial for a negative value. Otherwise, it will call a function factorial and will display the value of the factorial. This line will ask the user to check to whether the user wants to check any other number or not, and this while loop executes till the user says yes. Okay, now let us have a look on the output of this, how the output is looking. Okay, so here you can see the output looks like enter a number. So I am giving a number, say 5 I am giving. You can see the factorial of 5 is 120, and it is saying want to check another. Say my input is y again. Yeah, I want to check any other number. So This time I am giving a negative number, and let's see what happens if I give minus 4. And what is going to say? It is saying can't calculate factorial for negative value. Want to check another? I am again saying y. Yes, this time I am giving 0. Factorial of 0 is 1. Want to check another? Now this time I am giving n. So this is what process finished. So this is how this program is going to work for you. I hope you all will be able to understand from this program. Regarding that output, the second one, which was this, here it is, the code. Now here you can see this num equals to num minus 1. This statement is not a part of the while loop. So since it is not a part of the while loop, num will always be greater than 0, because here you can see when this function myfunc is being called from here, uh, the value 4 passes to num. So num is 4, and num is always greater than 0, because it will never reach the value which is less than 0, because this line num equals to num minus 1 is never going to be executed. So it forms an infinite loop. Now let us see what happens if I execute this program. So this is our output window, and you can see hello is being printed and printed and printed. The screen is not stopping. So this loop is continuing and continuing. I have to stop this process. It is, do you want to terminate the process output? I am terminating this process since it is forming an infinite loop. Now this was the previous assignment, and now the next assignment for you for this lecture. This is your next assignment which you have to perform. You have to write a function that takes a number and then returns a randomly generated number having exactly n digits, not starting with 0. Say the number is being passed 3, then the number generated should be any number, any random number of 3 digits. But the number should not start with a 0. Okay, you can use random functions to generate numbers between a specific range. Go through the pages of your 11th class book, you will find that random function. Okay, the second one is the output you have to find. So I think if you have understood whatever is being explained in this video, you will be able to find out the output of this program very easily. Okay, that is enough for today. I hope it will be a fruitful class for all of you. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Thank you.